Good morning, everyone. Thank you for taking time out to attend the Faculty of Science Curriculum and Course Rec Talk this morning. This session will be recorded and will be shared to our social media channels at a later date. If you have any questions at any point during the talk, feel free to type in the Q&A. Our speakers for today are Associate Professor Chu Fook Tim, Vice Dean for Undergraduate Studies, Faculty of Science, and Associate Professor Ng Ka Lun, Associate Dean for Undergraduate Studies, Faculty of Science. Without further ado, I would like to invite Associate Professor Chu Fook Tim, who will talk about the Faculty of Science curriculum. Prof. Chu, please.
Thank you very much, Eugene. A very good morning, everybody. We are looking forward to seeing all of you on campus, actually, when August comes, and I'm sure many of you have already been on campus, involved in the orientation and so forth. So today we are very specific about what we want to do. We want to introduce you to the faculty briefly, but more importantly, to introduce you to the course registration system and the process. Yeah, so please take time to listen through. If you have any questions, feel free to also ask us through the Q&A tab. Yeah, and we will have all our administrators here to try to answer all your questions. So this session here is very specific about how when you come in, how you will register, how you declare your majors, and then how you move on to taking your courses and so forth. Now, we also have specific sessions scheduled in the afternoon for you as well, for those who want to listen to the different majors and the different programs, what you need to do. These are not about an introduction to the majors, but rather, if you've already decided that this is the major you want to take, they will tell you, okay, what you will have to do when you come in, what you will have to take, what are the study plans, and so forth, right? So I assume all of you have applied here, you want to do science, and you're here, you're excited to come in, and we are also very excited to actually receive you and grow with you. So let me share my set of slides. Okay, and let me put it up as a full screen. Eugene give me a thumbs up if you can see everything in order.
Yes, Prof.
All right, very good. So let me start from here. I'm going to go through with you briefly the NUS modular system, but very specifically after this, my Associate Dean, Prof. Ng Ka Lun, will then go with you step by step how to deal with course rec and then what are the general requirements. And I remind you, we have afternoon sessions specific for the individual majors. Yeah, so let's quickly go on. Now, NUS runs in a modular system. On the average, you will all need to take about plus minus 5 courses each semester. And you know we have 2 semesters every year, right? Your degree program is going to be 4 years. And if you therefore count, there will be 8 semesters in general, 8 common semesters. You probably have to take about 40 courses. Now, one of the misconception is that, you only have to take 160 units or 40 courses. If you want to take more, or you may not be allowed. That's not true. 160 is the minimum, but you are actually free to take more if you want to, provided you don't try to overload excessively, because you also want to manage your workload and do many other things, right? So let me just come and give you the terminologies that we have in NUS. Yeah, a course is just like a module, a class that you have to take for the whole semester. Like this one, PC 1101 is sort of reflective of the course in, say, physics. LSM stands for course in the life sciences. GE maybe it's a general education. PL stands for another major and so forth. you all can see that there is 1,000, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. Well, 1,000 tends to be the first year freshman type of courses. 2,000, sometimes there are introductions in the majors, and then 3,000 are the level 3,000 higher level specific to the majors and so on, right? So basically, the first letter reflects the years, but it does not mean that you can only take 1,000 courses in the first year. If you so qualify and you so think that you can handle it, you're very welcome, yeah? You're very welcome to take the level 2,000 modules or even more, okay? Now the second code here, the second letter or the number here reflects whether this is a compulsory. So if it's 1-1, it means it's year 1 physics, and then it's a compulsory code for compulsory course for physics. Similarly, if it's 2-1 LSM, LSM stands for the life sciences. Then 2-1 stands for a level 2,000 or a year 2 module. You can take this in year 1 even if you are ready, but it is a compulsory module for the major, right? That's how it looks like. Now, sorry, I mentioned just now GE. This stands for geography, actually. Yeah. Moving forward, you can see this is what I've already described to you. The course digits here, the 2 or 3 letter prefix refers to the discipline. The 4 letter digits, the first one is the level, second one is the compulsory or elective. 1 is compulsory, 2 is elective, and then so on. All right. Now, every course is 4 units in terms of workload. 4 units, it basically gives you a reflection of how much time you probably will have to spend working on that course. So 1 unit, we think it's equivalent to 2.5 hours of both attending lectures, studying, attending tutorials, taking labs or workshops and so forth, and including preparation work. So if you have a 4 unit course, basically it means you probably have to take an average of 10 hours of work for that course. Now, of course, some students will spend more time, others will spend fewer hours. You know, this is actually according to your ability and your workload. Okay. Now, that is why when we suggest your average workload, you should be taking about 5 courses or 20 units per semester. Now, if you are capable, you think you can handle it, you're allowed to take 20, 24, or even higher in the later semesters. But maybe in the first semester, we will ask you to be a bit more moderate, don't overload yourself, get used to the university. But if you feel you can handle it in the future semesters, we probably will allow you to take even higher. Similarly, if you feel that you need time to catch up, you don't want to take 5 in a semester, you want to take 4, that's also possible, right? So you can see we are quite flexible about these things here. The other thing you need to be careful about is the prerequisites for courses. You know, obviously, the higher level courses, the 5,000 or 4,000 or 3,000, are all probably having prerequisites that are linked to the lower levels. That means you probably have to sequence the lower levels first before you go on to the higher level. In other words, you must complete them and pass that course at the lower level before you complete the higher level modules or courses. This is what we call prerequisites. In other words, you are not allowed to take the higher level until you have fulfilled the lower level prerequisites, all right? And each module or each course, we would have already indicated what the prerequisites are. Now, of course, sometimes, you know, as with anything, any system, there may be exceptions, and you feel you want to qualify for some of the exceptions because maybe, oh, you've done something related and you want to ask for a prerequisite waiver. That is possible, but you have to appeal through the cost rec system, and then we will evaluate those things, right? So anything that is out of the ordinary, feel free to write in to the cost rec system and make an appeal. That is possible, and that is actually something that you are allowed to do as we move forward here. Similarly, watch out for things like what we call preclusion. Yeah, here, this word preclusion. There are some courses that are specific, but they are very similar to each other. If you have taken one, you are not really allowed to take the second one, or vice versa, or you cannot take them together as well. So these are what we call preclusions. You don't need to take both of them actually. You just need to take one because some of the content or maybe large proportion of the content are similar. So I hope you are clear about some of the general terminologies, yeah? Now, I want to also make sure to all of you that you know that in the new system under the College of Humanities and Science, or CHS to short, all your degrees, all the degrees I put here, the Bachelor's of Arts and Honors, Bachelor's of Science Honors, Bachelor of Social Science Honors, and also the B.Pharm Honors, right? They are all direct four-year degrees. There is no more what we call a 3+1. In other words, you don't exit after you just finish your basic degree and then you go on to honors. No, everybody is admitted and given a chance to go through the 4 years honors program. However, at the end of your degree, whether you are given a particular highest distinction honors or distinction honors or the different categories of honors depends on your grades, depends on your GPA, we call it GPA now, grade point average. We will explain to you how we count the grade point average towards the end of this talk as well, okay? So there's no more exit after 3 years and so forth. Everybody got a chance to take the honors whole 4-year program. Now, we have some of you who are actually taking our professional bachelor's in pharmacy program. Your program is a professional program and it is slightly different from the rest of us who are taking what we call the CHS degree programs. All other degree programs that we have listed are in this CHS graduation requirement, but with the B.Pharm, you will have to follow your B.Pharm professional program. Now, I would strongly encourage all those who are in the B.Pharm program to attend this afternoon's B.Pharm briefing as well, yeah? But essentially, the B.Pharm program is also 160 units and average 4 units per course, you still take about 40 courses. It is all, majority of it is divided this way. The B.Pharm is a professional course, therefore it's quite heavy on the major requirement. You still have to take about 20 units or 5 courses that are what we call general education or university requirement. I will show you what these are in a while. And you still have an option to take about 24 units or about 6 courses that are restrictive, unrestrictive, meaning you can take anything. You may even fit a minor if your schedule so allows you to do this. So for the B.Pharm, strongly encourage you to attend the 2 o'clock session. Now, please take note there are 2 different sessions, one for B.Pharm, the pharmacy program, and the other one, which is for the pharmaceutical science program, which is under the CHS. Don't attend the wrong one, yeah? But they are all on the same time at 2 o'clock, I think. This is the common curriculum for healthcare professionals. This is the one that I'm talking about here, which is the university requirement. This common curriculum for professional requirements for B.Pharm is taken by all the healthcare professionals, including nursing, dentistry, and the medical doctors and MBBS students as well. And they are all combined into 5 pillars like this, where you look into these individual topics over your curriculum time. It will be scheduled in your curriculum time in essence, okay? Now, for the rest of you who are not B.Pharm, right? Including, however, the people who are taking pharmaceutical science, food science, the XDPs and so forth. You are under the CHS graduation requirement. You will have a degree that is about minimum 40 courses. Each course is about 4 units, so it's 160 units. And the way it looks at this is that your courses are actually structured into 3 big components. These 3 big components, one is called the common curriculum, the college common curriculum. This is 13 courses of 52 units. Then there is a major requirement. This is compulsory for every student in CHS. You will have to have your primary major. And I think you're attending this talk means you're interested in a science primary major. And then you have a third component called unrestricted elective. This is about a size of about 12 courses, 48 units. Now, if you are interested, you can take your second major here. You can take minors here. You can take unrestricted electives of all kinds of combination here. And also, you can even use this for your second degree if you want, and so forth. Just to give you a structure, this is a general structure, but a primary major, the one that is required here for everybody, is about the size of 15 courses, which we will give you the structure when we give the individual major talks. A second major, however, is smaller, and you put your second major in your unrestricted elective basket here. So, for example, someone who wants to come to CHS, the College of Humanities and Science, wants to major in life sciences, and his primary major will be life science or the LSM courses. This will be where his LSM courses will be placed. But he can then say, oh, you know what, I also want to do psychology as a second major. Then your second major is about 10 courses and you do it here, right? However, if you want to do not just a primary major in life science and a second major in psychology, which is about 10 courses on psychology, but you want to extend it further to do 2 primary majors, one in life science and one in psychology, which is also 15 courses, you can do that. In other words, you finish your second major and extend it even to become the size of a primary major. Then what it means is that you may end up having more than 160 units, maybe 160, 172. That is still possible. You don't have to keep it within 160, right? You can exceed if you can handle and you can plan yourself. And most of it will go under the unrestricted electives and more, okay? So the size of a primary major is about 15. The size of the second major is about 10. You can then take additional 5 if you want to make it also the equivalent of a primary major. The size of a minor is about half of a second major, that's 5. Now, if you're undecided, you may do so stepwise. You can try to take a minor first. You think you can handle, you like it very much, you can then move on to a second major, or you think you can handle, you can just finish it. You can then go on to have 2 primary majors if you so desire. Okay. Now, however, there's one slight thing that you need to worry about, which is if you want to do a double degree, which is 2 primary majors, it should be in a contrasting degree type. What I mean by contrasting degree type is that it must be either a BSc or a BA, or BSc with a Bachelor's in Social Sciences, or BSc in Engineering and Science. It must be in a contrasting. It cannot be 2 BScs, for example. So in other words, you want to take a double degree, you should take something that is contrasting. But if you want to do a double major, that means just a primary major and a second major, then it is okay, right? You can then do 2 sciences for all you want. But you will only get 1 degree, which is a BSc, and it will state that you are a primary major in X and second major in Y. Okay, so let me make sure I'm clear. A double degree should be a contrasting subject, but a primary and a second major combination can be in the same subject, or not same subject, same degree type, science or arts or whatever. Now, all of you will also have to take the common curriculum. You come into the College of Humanities and Science. This is our signature. All of you will go through this 6 common courses on writing, communities and engagement, design thinking, and the rest here. But there is also 5 other integrated courses that are signatures of the college. And then in the higher level, you will then take some interdisciplinary courses. Now, these are foundational courses which we believe are transferable for things that you will learn and do in the 21st century. And this also will give you a focus onto the fact that we want you to think very much interdisciplinary. You know, coming to university, a lot of things that we will have a major. Yes, you will have a major, you specialize in that, but we also still want you to have that wider perspective of things, that you don't just focus on one area, but take things and learn them interdisciplinarily. So this is something that we will, this is compulsory for all CHS students. But you know what? There are some people who so decide. You can see, let me just show you the list slide first. Some people may so decide that I only want the primary major, right? I only want to do, say, physics, for example. If I only want to do physics, you can. You can still do the CHS common curriculum. You still do a major requirement in physics, or then after that, you take your unrestricted elective in many other things that you want to do, expose yourself to science, other sciences a little bit, take a language, or you can so decide that you want to take everything in your unrestricted elective, also taking all the physics electives, because actually the physics majors have many more courses than just what is required in the major requirements. You have very many higher levels, which you can also take if you want. And if you so want to fill all your unrestricted electives, taking all the physics electives, then almost everything here in your major requirement and your unrestricted electives are in the field of physics. That's perfectly fine too. And in fact, this curriculum now allows you to do so, where you probably can do more physics than even before we became CHS, if you so decide, right? So you can see the flexibility of what's happening with the curriculum. So just keep in mind, there's a lot of common curriculum which are required, which will probably be done mostly in your first and second year. You will start with your major requirements, and then you can fill up your unrestricted electives with whatever you feel. Now, some of you already have been admitted, that's why you're here. You may be interested in the special program in science, and if you are, please attend the special program in science talk in the afternoon. And then, or maybe you are here, you are also part of the NUS college, right? The residential college. Or you are part of the other U-Town colleges, for example, CAP, Tembusu, RC4, and so forth. And in the college, you have college requirements. Or you are in RVRC, you also have college requirements. Now, when you take those college requirements, as I have indicated some here, all these are actually correspondingly or mappably mapped to our CHS. So if you are in NUS college, for instance, you take some of these college requirements, automatically they will count as CHS equivalent or requirement. So in other words, you don't have to do twice. You are part of CHS, but you are also part of NUS college. You will take the NUS college requirements here. Then these will be comparable to the CHS. So you only take once, and you would have already fulfilled this with whatever that is required in the CHS as well. So you can see this. We have mapped everything that is necessary from majority of the things that is necessary. The only things that are not there yet, it means that you have the option to now take the ones that are offered by the College of Humanities, right? The courses there. So this is how we have mapped everything to all the other programs in the university, especially your residential college or the special program in science. Okay. Now, going further, I already mentioned to you there are multiple pathways that you can actually take towards your graduation in 4 years' time, right? The top of which I put here as path one, you have a primary major. Everybody has a primary major, you can see that. But you have a second contrasting primary major as well. So it's 15 modules in the primary major, 15 other modules in the second contrasting major. But remember, yeah, when you want to have 2 degrees like this, it must be in one in science, so primary major is probably science, and the second one must be in either social science, arts, or even in engineering or computing or elsewhere. Then you get a double degree. The other path will be what is called a second path, a major, a primary major in science, but you can then take a second major. Now, this one does not need to be a contrasting. This one is only 10 courses, and you put the 10 courses in your unrestricted elective baskets. And this can be 2 sciences if all you want. Can even be science and arts or science and social science, and even somewhere else like science and in the business school and so on. But you will get 1 degree. Your degree will be based on your primary major, right? If you don't want to use all your unrestricted electives, you just want to try a minor and you don't want to up it to a second major, you can still take it as a minor in the unrestricted. You still get a degree as long as you fulfill your 160 degree units, basically. 1 degree, science degree probably. And then you will have also, some of you may want to take multiple minors, right? So this is a primary major, like for example, life science, and then a minor in bioinformatics, and maybe a minor in public health even. And that's possible. And you still finish in 4 years, you get 1 degree, but with major, minor, minor, right? It will appear in your results and so forth. Alternately, like I said, the specialist type, they just want to do 1 major and do the rest of their unrestricted elective in that major. Is also possible. Or you want to do 1 major and then use your unrestricted elective doing all kinds of different repertoire of things. That is also allowed, and that is also possible. About 10-20% of our students in the past few years have been those who want to take that very specialized pathway. Probably those are the ones who want to already do a higher degree. They know they only want to do, say, mathematics. They only want to do physics or whatever major they want to do. That's also allowed, yeah? So really, the degree program here is your choice, your decision, and you can change your mind along the way if you find that your interest has changed up to the 5th semester, right? 5th semester. Let me just give you a repertoire of how many students actually do a double degree. Let me just talk about this part here. Double degree is, let me see, here, the first part. How many students actually take 2 degrees, those with contrasting majors, and then they end up a double degree in 4, 4.5, and sometimes 5 years? Well, the first cohort of CHS, this is the number. 61 of them are still on a double degree course. These are the types of double degrees that they are combining it with, right? And you can see, these are the actual combinations. Many of them are double degree with computer science and math, for example, or the other way around, math and computer science. It doesn't matter, they're all the same. Or data science and computer science. And then some have different combinations, such as political science and chemistry. This is business school and math and so forth. And in the following year, we have 56 still on a double degree coursework. They all haven't graduated yet, but they are in that trajectory. And these are the combinations, right? Even one with LLB and life science. So there are two types of double degree methods where we already have structured it. That means very many of these, like for example, computer science and math and computer science, these are very common, and because they are very common, we have structured it already, right? So you can just follow the study plan, and then after that, if you qualify, and then you can pursue it within your 4.5 or 4 years or 5 years even. But others may so decide that they want to design their own double degrees, and this is still very possible. And remember, yeah, you don't have to do it only within CHS with, if you're not taking science, you don't only have to do it with FASS. You can very well do it even with engineering school, yeah, College of Design and Engineering, or with computing, or with business school. So let me just talk about this. A single degree is 160 units. You are usually given 8 consecutive semesters to be able to complete it. But if you are on a double degree, double honors program, you are given up to 10 consecutive semesters to try to do this, right? Now, of course, it is flexible. Yeah, some people want to do it faster. If you are so able, you can. Some people want to do it slightly longer, but it has some fee implications towards the end, right? So for the details, we will explain that to you, but if you're really interested as you go along, come and talk to us at the Science Dean's office. We will call for this every semester, and usually students who want to do this, they will want to take it stepwise first. Let me try the minor. Let me try the second major first. And then you think you can do this, okay, I will declare I want to do it. And usually by the time you're doing this, you're already completed about 60 to 80, which is about by the time you're second year, towards the end of your second year. And if you maintain a GPA of 4, and you say, I want to complete the double degree, you should then declare it. There is a way to declare it. This is the website. And then we also have a staff, and you can just ask our generic email address, ask CHS or ask Science, and then we will work with you even. Especially those who want to do the student design one, that means you want to combine it yourself. So it'll be useful you have that discussion with us. Okay, so this is possible, yeah. And I said the most popular ones are the computer science and math, computer science and data science. These are some of them that are already pre-designed. One of the things that we are trying to see if you are all interested or not, because now we have made it very, very easy for you to even do a double degree with the School of Design and Engineering. You can actually have a double degree with engineering, actually. So math with any of the engineering school degrees, econs with any of the engineering degrees, physics with engineering science, industrial design with psychology, all these combinations are now possible. And again, you may think, oh, wow, if I can do this, what about the common curriculum? Because College of Design also has a common curriculum, right? So we have also mapped the common curriculum so that you don't have to do the common curriculum 2 times. You don't have to do a CHS common curriculum and then do a CDE common curriculum. You will still do one common curriculum, but then you have what we call a hybrid one. And the hybrid common curriculum, if you're interested, we will show you. It's in the website. We will then show you if you are really interested. But I strongly encourage, especially engineering students or quantitative students, they want to do this with engineering school and maybe chemistry and chemical engineering, life science, and maybe something more contrasting like mechanical or electrical, or even physics with them, or math or data science, right? Both ways, students from that side can come here, and our students also can go over there. When you do a double major or double degree with engineering, because engineering degrees are only primary majors, mostly a degree-based, B-Eng, both will be double degrees, okay? So if you're interested in this, please feel free to consider that, take the early plans, and then after that, declare it when your time comes. So let me make sure you are clear. Primary major, you still have 1 degree only with minimum of 160 in your entire bachelor's degree. You can take a second major, which is different from a double degree. Yeah, second major is only 10. This is optional. Not everybody needs to do this. You finish with 1 degree, 1 primary, 1 second. Minor is 5 courses, 20 units. You can take it within even CHS or even outside CHS. There are many other minors that are available even outside of the college. You are probably allowed to take this, especially if they are what we call open minors. Okay. And then on top of that, some of you may decide, no, I don't want to do all this. I want to do a specialization. Some of the majors have higher level specialization, and these specializations are like this here. For example, if you're a primary major in chemistry, you want to specialize in chemical research, you can take even more chemistry, put it in your unrestricted electives, and then you qualify under what we call a specialization in chemical research, and so on. These are the many specializations that you want. These are additional from the 15 primary major modules. Okay. Now let me give you a snapshot of how many of our existing students in science actually do a second major and a minor and combinations of minors. This is the current 4th year students. These are the 3rd years, and then these are the 2nd years. That means these are your seniors. Of these, you can see close to 15 to 20% of the science major have a second major, right? Or have a second major and a primary major only. There are some additional to this. Here, for example, another 10% have a primary major, a second major, or a second minor, or at least 1 minor, right? What does this mean? Oh, this one has 2 minors probably with a second major. Sorry, I think the typo here is second major with another minor. And then these are the people who, on top of all these, have a minor, right? So you can see in total, about the combinations of this 40%, 10%, 15%. This total are the people who use up their unrestricted electives to do many other things, a second major, a second major with another minor or minor, and so on, right? So you can see these combinations, quite a lot of them use up their UE space to do other types of major, minors, or even a double degree. So this is now actually become common rather than the exception. So I want to now also caution you that, while you have a lot of freedom to do many things, you shouldn't be taking all just the level 1000 modules in the majority of your 160 units. So there is a limit of up to 60 units only, yeah? 60 units means about 15 courses maximum that you should be taking that is within the 1000 course only, right? If you take anything above that, the units will count, the grades will count, but the units does not count anymore. Anything in excess will not be counted in your total number of units for your graduation. But however, your grades will still be used for GPA imputation, right? So be careful about this. Don't overtake all the easy ones only and thinking that, oh, I can fulfill all the 160 based on them. However, there are some exceptions. These modules here are not taken into account when you account for the 60 unit limit of the 100 or level 1000 courses, basically. Okay. Now, some of you are from the Polytechs and you are already given 20 units of advanced placement. And these 20 units of advanced payments granted to the Polytech diplomas will not count towards this 60 limit. So don't worry about that if you're one of those who are given the 20 units advanced placement because you came from a poly and you so decide to take it. Now, poly students can so decide to use this advanced placement, or they so decide not to use this. You can have the choice to use it or not use it. That's your choice at the end of the day. Okay? So I also want to put another reminder here that you are also given a lot of flexibility to do a lot of things overseas, maybe in your exchange programs, in your summer programs, and so forth. You must note that more than at least 50% of your degree requirement must be completed in residence. This is what we call a residency requirement. So you can't do all or more than half of your degree things outside. You must do it at least 50% inside in NUS. All right? Or is NUS coded degrees. The other thing is that is your overall NUS 160 units, but it is your major, second major, minor specialization. Well, the requirement is that 60% of your major requirements, however, must be within NUS. So these are what we call the residential requirements for your degree program. Now, you will graduate with honors, the majority of you, and you can see we will award you your degree according to these classifications: highest distinction, distinction, merit, and whether you get which class depends on your grade point average, right? A 4.5, and so on. We will show you how to calculate this in a while, and then it is possible that some of you may not be doing that well and still finish 4 years, but then your GPA is very low. And if your GPA is very low, you still can graduate, but maybe you only graduate with a BSc, not a honors program. So watch out for this one, yeah? This is the grading system. If you get an A plus, that is what you get in terms of grade points. And then there's a gradation. In some of these grades, you will be allowed to declare what we call CSCU. We call it an SU system. It means that you can just say you pass the course without having to need for you to say that this is an A, B, C, D, or whatever grade. This CSCU, we will give you the option to say, especially if you are in your first year, you have a large number of courses that you can declare as a CSU. Now, we give you that option because, this is your first year. Maybe you're trying to just adapt to university after, say, many of you boys who've gone to NS for 2 years. You're trying to just adjust back to university. All right, first year, you didn't do that well. Those first year courses, you are probably allowed to do just what we call a pass-fail. And therefore, you don't worry about the grades. So that option is given to you. We'll explain a little bit more, but not all courses are given the option to give you a CSCU as well. And then finally, this is how you calculate your grade point average, right? The sum of all the grades, and then after that, the sum of all the units. You just divide this into 2, and then you get your grade point average. We will go into the detail of this calculation in a while, but what I want to remind you about is that if you drop below a GPA of 2, you are actually going to be placed on probation if you fall below a GPA of 2 for the first time. Now, you will be called in. If you're on probation, you'll be called in. We will monitor you very closely. And we'll, of course, try to advise you. Do you want to take so heavy? You want to take this or that? But watch out for this. You must make sure you do not fall below 2.0 in your grade point average overall. Yeah. Now, if you fall below 2.0 more than once, a second time, 2 consecutive times in particular, there will be a dismissal. You can get dismissed from your degree program, yeah? Now, of course, I say this rule applies from the third semester onwards, yeah? So the first year, we try to be a bit more flexible with you because many of you are adjusting to university life. But don't forget this, yeah? In other words, you still have to make sure you keep your grades above that 2.0. But you think about it, a grade of 2.0 is just a C average, yeah? And by all means, C average, many of you, in fact, the majority of you are much far better than this. So I'm not too worried. It's only some of you may have some problems, who knows, sometimes along the way. We will try to catch you early and see if we can help you along the way. If you need a little bit longer time, you need to take a leave of absence for some reason, we will then consider all these things, okay? But just be reminded, you don't drop below your 2.0 grade point average. Now, you must have heard of this. In the first year, you also have what we call grade freeze stream. In other words, if you don't do too well in some of the courses, especially in your first year, you're just trying to adapt to university, you're not used to how things are done here. If you pass the course, you can have the option to take a SU if you say, what, I saw the grade and it's not such a wonderful grade, I don't like a C in my grade or a D in my grade, I can SU it. If you SU it, it's just a pass-fail. You are considered having passed that course, fulfilled the requirements if it's a prerequisite for things, but you don't have that grade calculated in your GPA. So this is to help you, and this is what we call a grade-free system. And you have up to 32 units that you can SU, we call it, in your first year, right? And some of it, if you have not used up all of it, you can also bring forward only up to 12 units of SUable options, but only subjected to certain modules. Some of these modules, not all modules are SUable, okay? Now, you can also make that decision to SU, not necessarily immediately in your first semester. You can actually see what happens in your second semester and then SU the modules in that whole academic year, in your first year, first semester and second semester, just to give you a gauge. So you can see we are quite flexible about you coming into university, adapting, getting used to things, and then all right, you didn't do too well in the first year, but it's okay. Use the SU and then move on and so forth, okay? So S grade is you pass. Anything that is D and above can be graded as S. The grade point average will not be used, but you can consider it as fulfilled the units as part of the degree requirement. But however you fail it, you will get a U grade. GPA is still not factored, but you will not receive the grade. And if it's an essential module, you will have to repeat it still and still work until you pass it. Now, SU is only eligible for courses that are SUable are those that are 1,000 or 2,000, but the 2,000 course must not have a NUS prerequisite, right? Things that have got the prerequisite, even though they are 2,000, they are not SUable, right? So these are something you've got to watch out for. Any higher level modules are not SUable anymore, okay? So please take note. Don't come and say, oh, I didn't know. Every semester, we will tell you about it in our welcome back letter every semester. So some of the courses that are not applicable for SU are some of these that are listed here. Like I said, some of you may be required to take a level 1 English language proficiency. Those courses will be required to take because you came from a qualification that hasn't satisfied the English language proficiency, and you will have to take that and pass those, and those modules in CELC are not SUable. Also, I've mentioned the level 2000 courses which has prerequisites. They don't allow you to SU them, and anything higher than level 3000 you are not allowed. Of course, if you are caught for plagiarism, you have a disciplinary action against you, or if you drop the module with a W or F grade during semester, that means you didn't drop it in time, you cannot SU that away. So watch out for these things and watch out for these rules. Also, you should SU them. You're given 3 days to decide after your results are released. But actually, like I said, you can wait till the end of the academic year. That means if you're here in your first term, you saw some grades that you don't really like, but you want to SU them, but then you can say, okay, hold on a minute, I SU them in the second semester. That is allowed within the same academic year. I want to remind you one more thing. Your SU is irrevocable. In other words, once you have decided for the academic year, you cannot, at the end of the 4th year, go and decide, oh, no, I didn't use up all my SU. I want to SU this now. No, you cannot do that, right? Once you have decided for that academic year, it is fixed. No more changing your mind in the future. If you didn't use up your SU, you cannot come back and say, oh, I didn't use up I want to use SU this now. That's not allowed. We will not ever allow it. Okay. So lastly, let me just finish to say that we like to make sure there is a proper channel for communications with the university and the university registrar for all these things. The first port of entry for you all, if you want to appeal for things, ask a lot of things, you can go to the student portal. All of you will have access to the student portal, use the student portal, and then you will also have access to what we call a canvas where all your modules, your courses will be, or your course materials will be put up there. You can use either the student portal or the canvas portal, right? To be able to communicate with us because we will monitor these channels on a very regular basis. Now, I also want to encourage all of you not to just take modules and then after that, just go for the usual lecture, tutorial, labs, workshops. Try your hand on exposing yourself to real one-to-one research, yeah? And in science, we have more than, in the last 3, 4, 5 years in CHS, every year we have more than 300, maybe even close to 400 students who take up what we call a Europe project. And the Europe project is in their year 2, year 3, some even take it in year 4. And they take it for 1 semester or even for the whole year, 2 semesters long. And they gain hands-on experience in the lab working one-to-one with the professors, yeah? And you can see these are some of the many titles, yeah, of the students' project that students have embarked on in the last year or so only. And in CHS and in science in particular, you can see we only have about 1,000, 1,200 students. Every year, however, we have close to 300 to 400 students taking Europe at any one point of the time. This is very good because you work very closely with the graduate students, with the professors, and you have your own project to work on as you move forward with. So I strongly encourage many of you to try your hands on this as well. Now, on the other hand, if you want to also try your hands on other things, like maybe you don't want to just do research, but you want to do teaching, there is what we call UTOP. UTOP stands for Undergraduate Teaching Opportunity 2. Now, once you have actually taken a lower level module, you probably understand the module better. And if you have done really well, some of the lecturers may say, hey, you know what? You want to help me tutor, take the lab demo or become a tutorial demonstrator. If you are in your year 3, year 4, and you want to try your hands on that, you can. And this is called UTOP. And you can actually even gain credits for it or units for it, right? With actual lecturer guiding you how to give the tutorial, guiding you how to do the marking and so forth. So this is also possible, especially now we have a lot of these MOE scholars, for example, Ministry of Education scholars. If you want to have experience, this is a very good chance for you to also expose yourself to undergraduate teaching, both in the lab demo as well as maybe in workshops or in tutorial sessions. You will take small classes. Beyond this, some of you will say, okay, I also want to have experience in companies. And we have a program called the UPIP, or Undergraduate Professional Internship Program, UPIP, right? All these, whether you take it as UTOP or UPIP, they fall under the unrestricted electives, basically. And you can then take even sometimes an internship for the whole semester. And actually, I want to just tell you, for the last 3 years, the last cohorts of CHS, by the time they graduate, more than 70% of all of our science CHS undergraduates would have experienced at least one internship stint anywhere, whether locally or overseas. Yeah, and we have many students who have done it in many companies. Right, there is a portal for you to look for internship. We have a science portal, or we have a what we call a portal for you to look at which companies are actually giving internships. And why are a lot of students actually doing that is because, you know, if you are doing an internship, many of them actually find that the internship leads them to exposure in companies, and some of them even, I was told, more than 30% actually go on to find their jobs in the place they actually did their internship. And you can see, we did actually a study, and the study says what predicts a full-time employment almost immediately within the first 6 months of your graduation. Those that are significant here are obviously those that do well, your GPA or CPA is very high. And then those that have honors degree, previously we didn't have, those honors degrees did obviously better. But you can see the thing that actually gives you real good advantage is not just doing well, but also having an internship experience. And that's why you can see many of our students will try to also gain internship experience. Not necessarily just one, sometimes. There are some people who do 2, 3 internships over the next few years that are in the university. So apart from research, apart from teaching, apart from internships, we also have a lot of global learning opportunities, and you want to be able to plan your time. Many of these global opportunities will come in your late second year or third year. And these are some of those that are available that are what we call structured, right? We have a structured program, for example, life sciences have a structured degree, joint degree program with Dundee. Those interested, please ask your major program administrator. There is also a Doctor of Veterinary Medicine program, concurrent degree program with Melbourne. Those who are interested, please also make sure you are aware of this and when to do this. But beyond these, there are also other programs, right? But also, we have one whole semester study abroad program, mostly at the second year, second semester, or third year, first semester, or even third year, second semester. We encourage you to do this, especially in your second year or your third year. Not so much when you're fourth year, when you're trying to finish up the rest, right? And there are programs where this is the semester-long student exchange. There is also the overseas college. These are entrepreneurial college programs. And then if you don't make it in any of these, there are also summer programs and summer research programs. We have close to 300 university partners. Every year I will send about 400 plus for the student exchange programs. So that's a lot of students going overseas at any one time, all right? The overseas college programs also, these are all the entrepreneurial programs. that are available. Both there are what we call year-long programs, 6 months programs, or even 3 or 6 months programs in these different entrepreneurial cities. And it is growing. So if you are really interested, and I think more and more of our science students are taking their science and then also considering how they become startups and things like that. We also have overseas exposures where we expose you to technology insight program. These are summer programs where you visit companies around the region. Some of them, these are robotic companies, data science companies, and so forth. And these are credit bearing, right? And we organize this. And we also have what we call the faculty global classroom where they study overseas, like these two. This is a Hokkaido program on comparative agri-science. This is probably a biodiversity program. There's another one for food science, and there's another one for nanotechnology, and many more will come up as well. So at this point, I hope I have given you a flavor of what science is, and I hope that you are able to take advantage of all that we can offer you. Now, I pass this time back to Eugene. Eugene, what do you want to do? You want to give them a little bit of a break, and then
Yes.
maybe give them some time to ask further Q&A if they want. And then after that, I have Kalun come in to give you the briefing on course rec and the rest as well.
Okay. Yeah.
I'll pass it back to Eugene.
Right. Okay. Thank you, Prof. Shu. Yeah. So let's take a short 3 minutes break, and then we will resume the briefing after this 3 minutes break. Yeah. So we'll be back. We will start the course rec registration system talk by Prof. Ng at 10:38 a.m. It is now 10:38. So next, I would like to invite Associate Professor Ng Kalun to present the part on our course registration system. Prof. Ng, please.
Thanks, Eugene. Hope everyone can hear me. I'm going to continue with a briefing on the course registration system. And I think one of the key points about such briefings is that we try not to give too much information overload. It's very often that students go away feeling very confused because there was just too much information given to them. I'll try to keep things concise. I'm sure you will have questions after that. Please look out for the last slide in my talk where I will let you know where you can send in your queries if you still have questions after today's session. Okay, so let me begin. The CHS Common Curriculum, as mentioned by Professor Chew, comprises of 13 courses that are divided into what I call 3 categories. All right, the first category is the common core courses. The second category would be the integrated courses, and the third one would be the interdisciplinary courses. In the common core group or common core category, there are 6 courses, right? And they are listed here. For most of these courses, there is an option to choose from a basket of courses that will fulfill the requirement in these 6 different categories. So they are artificial intelligence, communities and engagement, digital literacy, design thinking, data literacy, and writing. The next category comprises of 5 integrated courses. So if you recall previously was 6, then there was 5 here, right? Namely Asian Studies, Humanities, Social Sciences, Scientific Inquiry, and 1 and 2. Now, for integrated courses, all of them except Scientific Inquiry 2, all of them are one single course. So there is no options. In order to take these integrated courses, Asian Studies, Humanities, Social Sciences, and Scientific Inquiry 1, these are a fixed one course that you have to read, just like everybody else. Except for Scientific Inquiry 2, you will have options and choose from one of a list of courses given to you. And finally, 6 plus 5, the final 2, all right? Course number 12 and 13 in the common core, common curriculum, would be 2 interdisciplinary courses that you will take later on in your senior years, most likely in your year 3s. Okay, so these 2 interdisciplinary courses you can choose from, again, a long list of courses, and you will have a better idea when you move into your senior years which of those courses in the list would you prefer. Now, I would just like to highlight, bring your attention to 2 particular courses and tell you a little bit more about them. The first one is a course in the Communities and Engagement pillar. Now, this pillar serves and provides service learning and engagement learning experience for all students, right? Regardless of whether you are doing a major in science or doing a major in arts or social sciences, they're all the same. So everyone would have to do one course in this Communities and Engagement pillar. The purpose is to make sure that all students, by the time you graduate, would be able to have experienced some deep learning and deep thinking with regards to societal issues or things that we are experiencing in the society here in Singapore. Okay, so you do not need to do this in your very first year or first semester, right? Depending on the majors that you embark on, most of the majors provide you with a study plan. And you should follow that study plan to give you an idea or plan as to when and which year, which semester you would take this course in the Communities and Engagement pillar. Most of the students will do it in their year 2 or year 3s. Okay, now there are 2 types of C&E courses, namely the service work ones, as well as the field and project work ones. So let me just quickly tell you the difference between these 2, out of which you choose one to do. For service work courses, these are usually courses that last for a year. All right, you may think that, oh, it's a very long commitment, but of course, to get the 4 units of credit spread over a year, it just means that this is a little bit more, rather a little bit less intense, very much less intense, right? It spreads over 2 consecutive semesters. So if you start this course in semester 1, it will run through all the way till the end of semester 2 and into the special term as well. So it is really a full year of commitment. For semester, the other type of service course can also start in semester 2. And if you start this course in semester 2, then you will run through special terms and till the end of semester 1 in the following academic year. Okay, now in terms of the academic units, because this is a year-long course, so you will be counted as 2 units of workload in the first semester and another 2 units of workload in the following semester. So it's still a 4 units course. If you choose to do a field or project work course as opposed to a service course, then it will be a regular 1 semester course. And just like any other courses you read, it will be a 4 unit course with the intensity of roughly about 10 hours of work every week, right? Like what Prof. Chu mentioned, that's usually how we count the number of academic units, right? With regards to workload. Okay, the second course that I want to highlight to you after the first one was community engagement, right? This second one is on writing, right? So this writing pillar for students doing a major in the Faculty of Science, right, which I hope all of you are, we have 2 slightly different, right? They're very similar in a lot of ways, but very a slight difference right at the end. These 2 courses are SP1541 and SP1541X. Both of them have the same course title, which is Communication Practices in Popular Science. Now, we actually have been running this course in the previous format for many years, but starting this academic year, so good news to all of you, being in the first cohort of students that will experience this new curriculum and new content. Students will be taught, right? You will learn how science is communicated to non-specialists. Now, how often do you go for family gatherings or meetings with friends and people ask you, you are majoring in life science, you're majoring in chemistry, so what do you actually learn about? What is your interest? Why do you want to do this? What is so interesting about this? And you have to tell them your interest to a non-specialist, people who are not doing the same major nor have the same interest as you, but still allow them to understand what you are doing in the university. Okay, so this course prepares you and gives you the experience to talk about science to a non-specialist audience, right, through the topics in the popular science literature. All right, now for SP1541, the highlight is that there will be because we have gone into a collaboration with the Singapore Science Centre, you will be going to the Science Centre on a particular day during the semester, and you will be going there to explain certain specific exhibits to the general public who are visitors to the Science Centre on that day. Okay, so this is all preparing you for that one day where you go out and practice what you have learned. As opposed to 1541X, right? So I mentioned 1541X is a slight difference from 1541. Most of the learning materials, teaching and learning activities are the same, but the highlight of this course will be a 1-week overseas trip where you will be engaging the non-specialist audience, not in Singapore, but in a Southeast Asian country. Right? You go for a 7-day field trip, and in addition to engaging audience to talk about science, you will be having field trips as well as visits on the various topics in science, for example, in environmental issues or sustainability issues and so on and so forth. Okay, this is a very small enrolled course. There are only 36 vacancies for this special version of the writing course. Very quickly, the common goals between both 1541 and 1541X. As I've mentioned, all right, these are all geared towards making sure students, by the time they graduate, would have some experience in being able to communicate science to non-specialist audience. Okay? What do you expect to learn? Some of the features, right? What are some of the features of academic and popular science genres? How science is communicated in various mediums. It can be through magazines, talks, digital medias, blogs, and so on and so forth, right? And how do we talk science to audience from diverse backgrounds. So all these will be learned in 1541 or 1541X. So this is just a screenshot of just a picture that you will see in Science Center. I'm not sure how many of you and when was the last time you've been to Science Center. You will probably have seen this. You will be going there to for an afternoon during the semester, after near the end of the semester when you go and practice what you have learned. As for 1541X, it shares the same learning outcomes as mentioned. And the final component, instead of going to Science Center, you will be going overseas. So this coming semester, that 1 week of experiential learning trip will be to Kota Kinabalu, Sabah. Right. So those of you who are keen to have an overseas experiential learning, all right, you may want to consider signing up for SB 1541X in this coming semester 1. However, I must mention that most of the time, students take this writing pillar course in their year 2s. So I'm not stopping you. If you're really keen and you want to give it a go as early as your year 1 Sem 2, for example, or year 1 Sem 1. Year 1 Sem 1 is a bit early, but nevertheless, if you're really excited about this and you want to give it a try, we're not stopping you. Okay, so the destination, we have already made plans for the semester 1 trip. You will be to Kota Kinabalu, Sabah, Malaysia. Okay, now, as mentioned, there's a cap of 36. Okay, I'm just going to give a short pause at this point to make sure that students who want to take a screenshot or take a picture of this, we have arranged for 2 very specific Zoom sessions where our colleagues from the Center of English Language Communications, who is running this course on our faculty's behalf, will be briefing you on the new formats of these 2 courses that are going to be run in the semester. So take note of the dates and take that screenshot of the QR codes and register your interest to attend these sessions to find out more about the course. Okay? All right. Now, away from those 2 specific pillar courses, now I'm going to talk about things in general. In the common curriculum, all right, you will realize that there will be some courses that will be pre-allocated to you right from the off. All right, now pre-allocated courses are those where when you log into the system before you even start selecting courses for the semester, you realize they are already there. All right, so these are courses that are not up for you to choose, but they are given to you by default. So these are some of the pre-allocated courses. You will, of course, not be given all of them in one shot. Okay, so as I've mentioned, the integrated courses, HSA, HSH, HSS, HSI, they are 1 course pillars, so no choice. So they will be given to you at some point. Quantitative reasoning with data, GA 1000 is also a pre-allocated course. So is DTK 1234 in the design thinking pillar. Okay, now for FSS majors, there are 2 other pre-allocated courses. So which and when will you be pre-allocated these courses? This table shows for the first 4 on the list, HSA, HSH, HSI, and HSS, 2 of them will be given to you in Sem 1, and the other 2 will be given to you in Sem 2. And these assignments will be randomized. All right. For GA 1000 and DTK 1234, these 2 forms a pair. So one of them will be given to you in Sem 1, and the other will be given to you in Sem 2. So you see, for most of you, roughly speaking, in semester 1, you will have already been pre-allocated 3 courses. Okay, so you still have to go into course rec, which I will talk about later on, but you will not be choosing too many courses in your first semester because of the pre-allocation that has already been given to you. Now, the next one, which will also be given to you, is what we call the gateway course. Now, this is related to your declared first major. So if you are declared as a math first major, the math gateway course will also be pre-allocated to you by default. Right? This is important because if you have declared math or physics or chemistry as your first major, this gateway course will give you the idea of what it really is, what studying math, physics, or chemistry really is in the undergraduate curriculum. Okay, in case you have any misconceptions about what math, physics, or chemistry is, or life science, right? This gateway course, which is part of your major requirements, one of the 15 courses, all right, this will give you an idea and whether you want to have a change of mind later on. Now, pre-allocation will, as I mentioned, for the 4 HS courses, you'll be given 2 out of 4. And then the pair of DDK 1, 2, 3, 4, you will be given 1 out of the 2 in your first semester. All right. The writing course, which I've talked about, you will select them by yourself at your time that you wish to read them. Doesn't have to be your year 1, sem 1, doesn't have to be year 1, sem 2. You can do it in your second year and so on. All right. And then for digital literacy, it's also from a specific basket of courses that you will select. So all this is your choice. All right. The writing and digital literacy, you will choose when and which one you want to do at your convenience. Gateway courses pertains to your major. So gateway courses are prerequisites to higher level courses in your disciplinary major. So you can choose to do them and then later on decide if this is really the major you want to embark on. You must make an official formal declaration by the 17th of July, 12 p.m. in order for that gateway course of your declared major to be pre-allocated to you. All right. Now, however, if you choose not to do so for whatever reason, or you've forgotten or whatever, you can still do that declaration in the course rec system, in the APAD system, which I will talk about later on. All right. It's just that you will miss out on having that gateway course pre-allocated to you. You will have to go in and get it yourself once the course rec system opens. All right. So the downside is that you may not get that course if there is not enough quota. Right. So if you are really keen on a particular primary major and you want to secure the gateway course, please do your declaration formally by 17th July, 12 p.m. Okay, let me move on. Now, this is the APAD system that will open up in 5 days' time on the 15th of July for you to do your major declaration formally. So the important timelines to take note of in this slide: 15th July, system opens for you to declare your academic plan, which is your primary major, or any accompanying second majors, minors, and so on. There are 3 rounds of selecting courses. So this is where you choose to add on to whichever courses that has already been pre-allocated to you, all right, to fill up your courses for your first semester. Most of you will be doing 5 courses in total for semester 1. After which, there will be 2 rounds of tutorial and lab class selections. Round 1 on 13th of August and round 2 on 15th of August. And then on 19th of August is that single day where you can still do some adding or swapping of courses along the way. I will go into a little bit of detail of these very soon. So declaration. There are 2 main items and everyone should know the difference. What is the academic plan declaration? This is when you declare your primary majors as well as all second majors and minors that are open in nature. Open in nature means free to declare. All right. You can declare it. Once you declare it, it is yours. Of course, you can undeclare it later on. Right. But these are all declarations that are free to declare. No application, no interviews, no shortlistings, no selections. Okay. When does this happen? It takes place before course registration starts every semester. So for example, for this coming semester, the declaration system opens on the 15th of July. As opposed to the academic plan application process, this is when you would like to apply for restricted second majors or restricted minors that requires some application and possibly selection, interviews, aptitude tests, and so on and so forth. So when does this happen? This happens during the reading week of every semester. So you can see the reading week during a semester is near the end of the semester, and that is when you go in to apply and to be considered to be admitted into a second major or a minor that is restricted in nature. If you are approved and you're successful in the application, that restricted second major or minor will appear in your academic plan from the following semester onwards. We are now here. Every one of you is here, right? Every one of you is at the start of the course rec period. All right. You will go through all these different phases. For example, if you look at box number 1, you ask yourself, have you done your submission? Have you declared your academic plan? You can start doing so from 15th of July. If you have, very good, move on to phase 2. Do you know what your degree requirement takes? If you are not sure, go and find out. Once you are sure, you can get ready, all right? Go into what we call NUS mods and simulate your desired timetable for what you want to do in the coming semester. If you're successful in choosing the courses that you want, how would your timetable look like? These are all simulations. Because you haven't got it yet, you will only start going into course rec to try to get the courses that you want for this coming semester starting July 21st. Okay, then you go through the series of rounds. After every round, you know whether you are successful or not. If you are successful, have you gotten enough units for the semester already? Are you done? If you are done, good for you. If you have not done, not successful, go into the next round of course rec and try to get more courses successfully. Okay, at the end of the whole 3 rounds of course rec, still not successful in a lot of things that you want to read, then you submit appeals. Okay, so this is how it works. Now, academic plan declaration, you can do it at every semester, all right? But you can only do it once every semester. Students are not allowed to change the declaration within the same semester once you have submitted it. Now, I know many of you have indicated your preference during the student registration exercise for undergraduate programs. Now, this preference is non-binding. It doesn't mean that the moment you've made that preference, you are locked in. This preference exercise is for us to have an estimate and resource planning to have some idea of how many students will be taking this and how many students will be taking that. Making that or completing that preference exercise does not mean you do not need to do your APD process. Please still go into your APD process and look and do your declaration there formally to lock in and to get your gateway course pre-allocated to you. All right, so please remember, if you have done that preferential exercise, good for you. You have given us that estimate of roughly how many students will be doing a major in which one, but the academic plan declaration that starts on 15 July is when you officially need to go in and do that declaration. And once you've done that, you can't change that anymore. The next time you can change it is at the beginning of next semester. Okay, this is where you go to do your declaration, right? You have to log into My EduRec, look at your homepage, select academics, and there will be a drop-down. Then you can select academic plan declaration and follow through. There is a step-by-step guide prepared by the Office of University Registrars. So please look at that guide if you're not sure. Okay, the second phase is, of course, after you have done your selection, right? Hypothetically say, okay, these are the courses I want to read. You can go to NUS mods, the URL is provided there, and simulate your timetable. Suppose you are successful in getting this course and that course. Now, not just for the lecture timetables. As you can see here, a lot of the courses not only have lecture timetables, like you see PC 1101, 2 lectures a week. There's also 1 tutorial a week, so you can also simulate if you are able to get this particular tutorial group, then your tutorial will be on Thursday afternoon and so on and so forth. Okay, so you can go and simulate your timetable and see whether you can fit in your classes, whether there are any clashes, and maybe very important for all of you, whether you have a free day, like, oh, Wednesday I have no classes, very good, don't need to come to school. Okay, so you can try and simulate your timetable. Now, a note on timetable planning. We do not support timetable clashes. They say that, oh, please do not write in and say that I really, really like to take these 2 courses, but they have a clash in the lecture. Can you help me waive so that I can still take these 2 courses? And then depending on that day, I feel like attending this course lecture or attending that course lecture, I will just choose which I want to go. No, timetable clashes, generally, we do not support the waiver of such clashes. And of course, if the 2 courses you want to take have exam on the same day, same time, different place, there's no way you can take those 2 courses at the same time. Okay, so don't need to appeal to us. Most of these times, we will just throw out those appeals. In a very special situation, if you are into your final year, final semester, and you need those 2 courses to graduate, then you can write in and then we can see what special arrangements can be made. But definitely year 1, semester 1, no, we do not support timetable clashes. And remember, it's not just about making sure that the lectures do not clash. Sometimes a particular course not only have lectures, they also have tutorials, they also have labs. So if both the courses you want to take do not clash in their lectures, but they only have 1 tutorial group each, and that tutorial group time clashes, then I'm very sorry, you can't take those 2 courses as well, because while the lectures do not clash, you can't take the tutorial groups in both courses because they are happening at the same time, same day, right? So must make sure that you check those as well. But for most of the courses that you're taking in year 1, because they are big enrollment courses, so therefore there will be more than 1 tutorials sessions, there will be more than 1 lab sessions that you can choose from. Okay, workload policy. Year 1, Sem 1, very straightforward. Every one of you would have a maximum workload of 23 units with only, with only some exceptions. Students in certain exception groups will be given or will be allowed to read up to a total of 27 units in your year 1, Sem 1. Most of you, year 1, Sem 1, 23 units. Minimum, on the other hand, is 18 units. You cannot underload unless there are mitigating reasons, right? For some students, right, because of medical issues, sometimes they really cannot do too many courses. You are allowed to underload. Under normal circumstances, whether you are allowed to go beyond 23 units depends on your academic standing. If you are struggling, meaning that your GPA is below 2, you are under academic probation, you will not be allowed to do more than 23 units. If your GPA is in this range, you can register for up to 26 units. And if your GPA is very healthy, relatively healthy, you can register up to 32 units. But I'm just giving everyone a reminder here. 32 units is very heavy. Okay, if your GPA is 3.2 or just above that 3.2, you may wish to consider carefully whether you really want to overload yourself. 32 units is on average 8 courses in a semester. And that's, you will have no time to enjoy your university life. All right, so my advice, try not to go that if you don't have to. All right, things to note. As mentioned, because of pre-allocation, you will not be required to do a lot of selections. You will not to have too many choices in your year 1, Sem 1. Definitely year 1, Sem 1. Year 1, Sem 2, maybe you have a bit more options. Okay, so reminder, declare your major by 17th July to have your gateway course pre-allocated. In order to use course rec, all right, you must declare your major by 21st July. So if you have missed this deadline, you can still access course rec, just that you don't have your gateway course pre-allocated, but you must still declare your major by 21st July, 08:59 hours, because the system needs this declaration before you are allowed to use course rec to start getting your courses. So this is important. I hope every one of you remember this, okay? Now, let's go into the course rec system itself. How does it work? Suppose you are now at this stage. You have already done all these things and you are ready to go. Time for course rec. So what do? When you log into course rec, you are going to see this as your landing page. There are lots of menus and options on the left. This slide tells you what they are. I'm not going to go through every single one, okay? But each of these menu bars on the left has a function. Most of you will be going into select courses to start your course selection process, okay? So let's start with course selection process. 3 rounds, as mentioned. Round 1 is starting July 22nd at 900 hours. What is so special about round 1? Round 1 is what we call a protected round. Students are only allowed to select courses in round 1 that are meant to fulfill their program requirements or their second major or restricted minors requirements. Okay, so these are really your bread and butter courses that you should prioritize in securing early on. You should not delay in getting these type of courses until round 3, where it's open market. Right? Round 1 is protected, which is why if you declare a particular major, you will be prioritized when you go into round 1 to select those courses that are important to you. Round 2 and 3 are open rounds. Students can select all courses in round 2 and 3. Of course, the actual availability of courses will differ across different rounds because sometimes due to quota and capacity constraints, certain host departments will choose to open up quota, more of it in early rounds to make sure that students who need those courses for primary major requirements will get them first and then slowly release the remaining quota in later rounds. So the quota that is available in each round can change. There's a step-to-step guide, so please look at the guide provided by OUR to guide you through the use of CourseRec. Now, so CourseRec is a priority-based system. So everyone who wants to read the same course will be assessed in terms of who gets priority. Now, how is this priority computed? Every one of you who select a particular course, they say, okay, I want to read this. Based on your profile, you will be given a priority score that's computed based on these 3 items here, item A, B, and C. Let me explain to you what these 3 items mean. Program requirements is what you are reading that course for. Are you reading that course as a primary major that is your bread and butter? Or are you reading that course as an unrestricted elective, like for interest only kind of thing? Okay. Of course, in the first instance, the student who is reading it as a primary major gets priority. B is the seniority of the students. So a year 3 student as opposed to a year 1 student. Year 3 student gets a higher B score that contributes to this priority score because the student is year 3 and have only 1 or 2 years left in the candidature before the student graduates. So compared to a year 1 student that has still a lot more time left, so the senior student gets priority. And of course, rank preference. The student would have to rank and choose in every round, what is my rank 1 choice? This course put as rank 1, another course put as rank 2, another course put as rank 3. So for that same course that the 2 students want to read, if a student put it as rank 1, you are telling us that you want this the most. As opposed to another student who choose that same course as a rank 5, then the C score for that student will be lower than the C score of the first student. So taking into consideration of all these 3 things, the priority score of a student is computed. So these are just some of the examples I've mentioned just now in terms of priority ranking. All right, what constitutes a high program requirement score, what constitutes a high student seniority score, and what constitutes a high rank preference score. Now, in the event that the priority score computed for the 2 students who wants to take that course are the same, then tiebreakers will come into play. So what are some of the tiebreakers? For example, students who do not or have not attained minimum workload will be given priority to a particular course, as opposed to someone else who also wants that if they have the same priority score, but that student has already attained minimum workload of 18 units, whereas the other one has not, then the one who has not will get priority. Okay, let us run through some scenarios. These are hypothetical scenarios. Imagine Jack and Jill, not only going up the hill, they are also both selected the chemistry course, the same chemistry course. Okay, so Jack is a math major, reading reading the chemistry course as a second major requirement. Jill, on the other hand, is a primary chemistry major. Both of them are in their second year. Both of them have chosen this course as their rank 1. So in this case, if there is only one slot left for this course, obviously Jill will get priority. Reason is because Jill is reading this as first major requirement as opposed to Jack, who is reading this as a second major requirement. Okay, so first major trumps over second major in this case. I'm talking about in the event that there is only one vacancy left. It may jolly well be both Jack and Jill gets to read the course, right, eventually. Okay, so not to worry. This is just to say if there is only one slot left, who gets it? Scenario 2, Ariel and Belle, all right, both have selected to read a psychology course. One is a life science major, the other one is a social work major, both reading psychology as a second major requirement. Both are in year 2, both chose this course as their first rank. In this case, who is going to be most likely to be allocated? The reason is Belle. Now, the reason is because, you see, for both of them, the A times B times C is the same. That means we end up in the case of a tiebreaker being called up. All right, because both of them are not majoring in psychology as their primary. Both of them are reading psychology, this course, as a second major requirement. Both of them are in year 2. Both of them choose this course as their first rank. So we enter a tiebreaker scenario. And in this case, because Belle's home faculty is Faculty of Arts and Social Sciences, all right, that is where this psychology department is housed. So therefore, this Belle's home faculty is the course host faculty. In which case, in the event of this tiebreaker, if there's only one slot left, Belle will get it rather than Ariel. All right, this is when tiebreaker comes into play. Third scenario, Michelle and Michael both are physics, or rather both are not related to this life science course that they want to read. Right? Michelle is a physics major, Michael is a math major, just want to read this course in their final year, senior years, for year 4 already, and they want to read this as a UE, unrestricted elective. So in this case, both of them are equally likely or non-likely to secure this course. In the event, in this case, priority points computed A times B times C is the same. All tiebreakers are matched. So in this case, how? If there are only 2 of them who wants to read this course and there's one vacancy left, then the system will randomly select one of them to allocate the course to. So this is where all tiebreakers are matched. This is just down to luck already. Okay, so that's how this third scenario is meant to tell you. Okay, so when you go into a select course on the left-hand side of the menu, right, there are a few things I want to bring your attention to, because these numbers that you see are actually quite useful information. For example, if you look under the vacancy column, the number of vacancy there tells you how many slots are left for students to select, right? So like, for example, if you see this same course, CS2040, right? This is the course code. There are 2 lecture groups, right? Because the enrollment is big, they split up all the students into 2 lecture groups. These 2 lecture groups probably have different lecture timetables. Maybe lecture group 1 is Mondays. Maybe lecture group 2 is Thursdays. All right. So same course, 2 different lecture groups. Now, lecture group 1 is clearly more popular because at this point, there are only 10 vacancies left. Lecture group 2 has 210 vacancies left. Okay. And these students selected column here tells you in the current round, how many students have selected this course, this particular lecture timing, L1. So 1 have selected, as opposed to L2, 104 have selected. So looking at the vacancy as well as students selected will give you a rough idea of the likelihood of being successful if you choose either L1 or L2, if you really want to choose this course. Okay, so these two numbers there gives you some idea of the supply and demand, and therefore the likelihood of success. Now, sometimes you would like to tell course rec that says that, okay, I have chosen L1 already, CS 2040. However, I want to tell you also that in the event that I'm not successful, please try to assign me something else. So this add reserve class feature is to tell course rec that you can select up to 2 backup options for each rank. Right, so rank 1, if this is your rank 1, you can tell course rec, okay, if I'm not successful in this, please consider me for my next 2 options. This is in the event that you do not want to wait until the next round. Of course, you can say, if I'm not successful now, never mind. Don't need to assign me anything else. I will reassess my options and go in for round 2 or round 3. All right, so this is happening within the same round, just to let course rec know if I can't get it, what is my backup? Now, it is possible that students will select L2 as a backup. Remember, I told you CS 2040 could have 2 different lecture groups. So a student could select L1 as my rank 1 first choice, and then tell course rec as a reserve, you can put me in L2 if I'm not successful for L1. Okay? All right, those are for registering a course, but most of the time a course comes with lectures as well as other learning and teaching and learning activities. And most of the times there are tutorials. So for tutorial registration, it happens over 2 select rounds, and there will be 1 day, which is on the 19th of August, where you can still do your add or swap processes. Okay, so round 1 of tutorial selection is 13th August, happens 9 to 5 over 1 full day. Select round 2, tutorials will be on 15th of August, also 9 to 5. Now, unlike course registration, tutorial group registration is not first come, first serve, is not rank, there's no priority, all right? It's just up to you to rank. When you have successfully registered for a particular course, you must now go and register yourself for a tutorial. In each of those 2 rounds, 13th and 15th of August, you go in for the courses that you have successfully secured. You look at what are the tutorial time slots. In other words, what are the tutorial groups available? And you choose to rank them from the highest to your lowest priority. All right. At the end of the round, the system will look at everyone's ranks. If for a particular time slot, if there are 25 vacancies and less than 25 students selected that as their first choice, all those students will get their first choice, right? Because demand does not exceed supply. So everyone who chose that as their first option will get allocated their first option. However, if there are 25 slots and 35 students selected that slot as their first choice, then how? Well, simple randomized assignment. So the system will randomly select 25 out of the 35 students to be given their first choice, and that unlucky 10 students will be considered their second choice, and the process repeats itself. Okay, so this is how tutorial registration works. It's not first come, first serve. It's not fastest fingers first. It's supply demand. If you choose a time slot that is not so popular, good for you. You're likely to get your first choice. After 2 rounds, if you still cannot get a tutorial group, all right, there is one last option, last choice, which is during the add and swap period. Go into the system, and this one is fastest fingers first. Now, why? Sometimes a student may decide to drop a course. If a student says, no, I don't want to do this anymore, I've changed my mind, I dropped my lecture group, I dropped my tutorial, so therefore a vacancy opens up. If that vacancy opens up and you're lucky, you happen to go into the system at that point of time, you'll see that, your favorite time slot, there's one vacancy now, please go in and grab it. Okay, so this is then on a first come, first serve basis if there is a vacancy, or alternatively, you can post a swap request, right? You can post and say, okay, I'm currently Tuesday 10 to 11, any kind souls out there have a Tuesday 4 to 5, can swap with me. If the system finds a match, then a swap will be made for you. All right. Now, after the ad swap period, if you're still unlucky and say, you still cannot secure a tutorial slot, you will have to submit an appeal. Write to CourseRec, and I will later on show you how, and submit an appeal and say that I still haven't gotten a slot, please help me. What are my constraints? Why is it that you cannot have this slot, cannot have that slot? You can only have this slot, you can only have that time. The system will then route your appeal to the appropriate administrator who will look at your appeal and respond to you accordingly. Okay? Now, if by the time in week 5, week 5 is very late into the semester already, almost reached the middle point already. If you still have not had a tutorial group by then you have no choice. The course will be dropped for you if you don't do it yourself by the faculty, because there's no way you could have gone through week 5 up to week 5 or beyond if you have only been attending lectures and you do not have and have not been attending any tutorials up to then. Okay, the faculty will drop that course for you if that's the case. Okay, so hopefully none of you will reach this case. Okay, now, so the second menu, menu bar on the left of this CourseRec system is you can actually go there to view all the classes that you have been registered for. So remember, as you go through every round of CourseRec as well as tutorial balloting, the day after the round ends, you can log in to see whether you have been successful in what you want, whether is it for a lecture, whether is it for tutorials or labs. All right, this is where you will check the outcome of the previous rounds exercise, right, or previous rounds activities. Okay, dropping of courses. Some of you may have a change of mind, right? So in the end, you say, okay, I think I don't want to major in math. I want to major in data science. So you decide to drop the math courses and take the data science courses. You can do so, all right? When you drop a course, all the associated classes, meaning right at the top, from lectures down to the tutorials, down to the labs, everything will be dropped the moment you drop a course. However, if you just drop your tutorial or you drop the lab class for that course, you remain enrolled in that course. So please, students have in the past fall into a situation where they drop a tutorial or the lab thinking that by doing so, they would have dropped the course entirely, only realizing later on that they have not. And the course is still with them in the system. And by the time they realize it, it is too late. What do I mean by too late? Too late means you have already gone into the F grade period of CourseRec. When you are still in the course and you eventually drop it after it is too late, then that course will reflect as an F grade in your transcript. So be very careful. There are two cutoff points. One is called the W grade cutoff point. The other one is the F grade cutoff point, which I will now show you. Now, for this coming semester, the W grade cutoff point starts on the 26th August. So you can, if you drop before 26 August, nothing will happen. This course that you drop will not even appear in your transcript. But if you drop starting from 26 August, before 30th September, that course will reflect as a W in your transcript. Now, what does a W mean in terms of the computation of your GPA? This is very important. If a W is given for a particular course, it does not affect the calculation of your GPA. You also cannot SU it away. All right, you cannot say, I don't want to see W, I just want to make it into a S or make it a U. Cannot. It will have to reflect as W. But good news, it does not affect the computation of your grade point average. But if you drop a course too late, and that for this semester is from 30th of September, 100 hours onwards, you drop a course then or after, you'll get an F grade. This F grade cannot change into a SU grade, and your GPA will be affected. Okay, in this case, if that really has to be done, you will have to write to us and we will drop the course for you, but with an F grade. So be very careful of these cutoff points, these cutoff dates. Okay, whether is it to appeal for a course or to appeal for a tutorial or lab time slot, all appeals must be submitted through CourseRec. So do not look for us in the office, do not look for us in the canteen, do not come and knock on our doors. All appeals submitted through CourseRec. And make sure when you submit an appeal, you select the correct appeal type. Do not duplicate appeals. You duplicate appeals, you just make us have more work and more time to look at your appeals, which is talking about the same thing. All right, if we spend more time looking at duplicates, it will take more time for us to get back to you. So this is not helping yourself, not helping us. Now, there are many different types of appeals. When you go into the system to lodge an appeal, you must select the appropriate appeal type, because depending on what is the appeal type, that appeal will be routed to the appropriate person looking at the appeal. So if you appeal wrongly, select a wrong appeal type, your appeal may end up journeying through different parts of the university. Right? Reach a person's email, they say, hey, this one is not, I'm not in charge of this one, they forward to somebody else. Then the person says, hey, no, this one I'm also not in charge, forward to somebody else. So you can see that your appeal will go on a merry-go-round. All right, so be very cautious when you select your appeal type. Make sure you are selecting the correct appeal type so that the person looking at it is the appropriate one that can address your concern. Okay, so this slide shows you when are the start and end dates for all these different types of appeals. And for all of you are in the UG, right? So all of these are applicable to you. Okay. Tutorial appeals the same. As I've mentioned, if you have not secured the tutorial time slot, please submit an appeal through CourseRec from 19th of August, 5 p.m. onwards. So as you remember, 19th of August is the end of that add swap round. Because if at the end of the add swap round, you still cannot get the tutorial time slot, right? Therefore, you need to submit an appeal. Okay. In some instances, if you have not been given a tutorial time slot, you will be pre-allocated any available slot on a random basis. As long as it doesn't clash with your timetable, you'll be given it. All right. So if you really want to try to get something you want, please submit an appeal instead of being pre-allocated a random slot. Okay, this is my last slide or last two slides for information and assistance. So depending on what kind of assistance you need, if it is system related issues, right? System hang, system crash, not working, please look for our colleagues at the Office of University Registrar. If you have specific CourseRec questions, we have a help desk that works on office hours, not on weekends, please. Call them, they can try to help you. Okay, but make sure when you call them, you know exactly what is your concern, explain to them, and then they can advise you. For Faculty of Science, all right, most of you are coming in as a FOS major student. You have an option of putting an online query form. Now, this is a link. I will not click on this link, but you already know where this link is. I'm going to show you in the next slide where to access this link. When you go onto this link, you will submit an online query, and that online query will translate into an email, which will be routed to our administrators who will then look at it. Okay, so these are questions. Please do not submit appeals using this online query form. Online query form is to ask questions. If you have issues securing courses, securing tutorial time slots and all, as I've mentioned earlier, in fact, I've mentioned many times, please submit your appeal via CourseRec. This online query form is to ask questions. So where do we get this? Now, all of you would have received a letter in the form of an email sent to you with the title Information for Freshmen to Science Majors. Okay, the email and the letter starts off like this. That letter was signed off by me. If you look at that letter, near the end of that letter, there is a section called Assistance. And there you have the link to the online query form. Okay, so if you have any questions, submit a query via that form, or you can also call us. But I would suggest submitting it via online query form is better, since this would have locked in a case and get an email thread started between yourself and our administrators who address your queries. Okay, so in case those of you do not know where this link is, please look for this online letter that was sent to you via an email and scroll to the end of that letter to be able to access to this shortcut. Okay, all right, that's all for me today. Hope this is not too much information overload. I will pass the time now back to Eugene, who will close the session for the day. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Prof. Ng. So we have come to the end of today's session for the Faculty of Science Curriculum and CourseRec talk. There's still a series of department talks in the afternoon, so please join these talks to find out more about the different majors. If anyone still have any questions, as Prof. Ng has shared, so please submit your queries via our online query form. So with that, I'd like to thank our speakers for today, Prof. Chu and Prof. Ng, and everyone for joining in. So have a great day ahead. Thank you, everyone. Okay, with that, I will end the session shortly. So we'll still have a few more questions. So our staff will answer these questions and then we will end the session. Thank you.